Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. So just to kick things off, if you guys were exotic dancers, what would be your stage name? You can give each other one if you want to.
Oh
Oh
no.
my
What's
God.
your what's
What was
oh,
it? I think that there's something about an exotic dancer. It's like the name of your first street and the
oh
last thing you drank
oh
or something
so
like that,
what
or last thing you ate, ingested.
last thing you drank?
Yeah.
So what would that be?
Something water. I think I would be like beef supreme.
I'm gonna go with the last thing that I drank and the name of my first street, which would be Coffee Weaponess.
What is weaponess?
That's the name of this first street I lived on.
Weaponess?
Weaponess. It's like
Really?
a female weapon, isn't it? Weaponess.
Wow, that's cool.
Cafe,
That is
maybe
exotic.
cafe weaponess.
Cafe weaponess.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So Chippendales, it's not been without controversy, obviously. What character trait in Nick and Banerjee was the toughest to play out?
Oh my God, it was all kind of joyful for me. I feel like, the more complicated the character, the more sort of joyful it is to play for as an actor in a way. So I think Nick is, I tend to be a bit of a people pleaser in my real life, and Nick is not that way at all. He's just like, you know, bravely sort of brash and kind of rude sometimes, and just like fiercely ambitious and won't let anything stand in the way of it. So there was something about playing that kind of tornado of a personality that was really exciting to me.
I found it a little bit tragic that it's this guy who's so unable to admit when he's feeling sad. There's a big part of the story where he's grieving for his dad but doesn't know how to do it and won't share it. So playing that stuff for me was exciting because it's really exciting to not express what you're feeling, to try and really bottle it down. It feels really charged. So that was really fun, but intellectually, I felt it was a little bit tragic because I think there are a lot of people like that in the world who are unable to really feel or label what they're feeling.
What was the most awkward situation you found yourself in shooting this show?
Oh my God. I mean, anytime there's like, a kissing scene or something, I find it very awkward, especially when there's all these people surrounding you and it's really hot and you're sweaty and you're apologizing to the other person for being sweaty and you have to keep doing it over and over. So I find that stuff to be uh, very unnatural.
I think those kind of scenes, those sort of intimate scenes, are often, until you get into it, hopefully you have a good rapport with the actors that you're working with, and we did, fortunately. So once you get into it, you sort of find a comfort level, but they're always kind of awkward because they're so sort of unnatural in just the way that they're set up. Because, like, as Kumail says, you're surrounded by a large bunch of strangers while you're sort of doing this very lot of intimate stuff. So just the nature of it is awkward, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's really awkward, and you have to do it over and over, and it's somewhat technical. And
Yeah.
obviously, you have to make sure the other person feels comfortable. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah.
An exotic dance, as a profession, I imagine, is met with a lot of prejudice. What kind of preconceptions did you guys have about this line of work, and how did you, working on this show, kind of challenge your mindsets in any way?
I didn't really have any sense of what the lives of exotic dancers are. I had no preconceptions about it because I knew so little about it. But then in doing research, I found out these guys were really living the life. In the 80s, they were doing everything you could imagine they were doing. They were doing. And they were really kind of kings of this little kingdom for a long time. Suddenly, there weren't sort of male strippers, and then suddenly there were. And these guys really had the run of the place. So hearing interviews with them now, the same, 30 years on, it was sort of, you could see that they really enjoyed doing it.
I mean, I didn't. As a kid, I knew about the Chippendales, and I sort of, they always seemed like a slightly sort of like they were slightly in the past, like they had slightly longer hair and
Yes.
more muscle bodies than like was sort of in vogue at the time. And it seemed like a very fun sort of fantasy version of sort of the male body and male sort of sexuality. I I guess I didn't give much thought to what that life would actually be like, or what it actually felt like to be in the room. And so shooting this show with large groups of large, rooms full of a lot of background actors, and seeing how everyone responds to like strippers in that context, even though everyone was like, actors, the kind of the energy that happens just in that sort of dynamic is really electric and fascinating. And I think it took us all by surprise when we were shooting those scenes. It was like, whoa, like it just blew the roof off in terms of everyone's enthusiasm.
Yeah, enthusiasm's a good word for it. It was like violent enthusiasm.
It sort of felt like sometimes we needed some like wranglers.
Right, like everybody take 5, chill out, go drink a glass of cold water.
Just meditate.
Yeah.
Just like bring it down.
Right.
But no, it was, it was very revealing in that way.
I always ask if you guys have like a funny story from the shooting, something extra challenging, or a blooper, something weird that happened during the shooting that can tell me about, that you remember especially well.
I mean, I think he nailed it every single time we did a dance performance. It was explosive. And there's one part where there's a character named Otis in the show. He was played by Quentin Blair, who's absolutely amazing, an amazing actor. But there's a part where a woman in the audience rips his pants off, and each time she ripped his pants off, she like turned into an animal. It was amazing, and they all cut, and she would sort of come to and be like, "What did I miss?" I'm like, "How you really great take. You really nailed it." Yeah. So it was exciting to see that just the atmosphere that was created. For us, it was a very controlled setting, obviously, but I can only imagine what it must have been like back then, where there really weren't any sort of parameters. Yeah. Anything goes.